methylone, should have the same action, I would think. The compound has about the same potency, but a number of the people who have explored it said it is something like MDMA, but it is not like MDMA. So the answer to your question is no, I don't have anything to parallel to MDMA. It is still, in my mind, a unique compound.
What I see is this growing dichotomy between in the psychedelic community between people who eschew synthetic substances in favor of what they see as solely organic substances. And I'd just like a little bit of comment from you guys on it.
Yes, there are people who are very, very almost pathologically avid in that direction. If it comes from nature, it's going to be safe, and it's made in a laboratory, it's going to be dangerous. All I can do is give a few specific examples. There are some 4 or 5 of the well-known psychedelics, now well-known, that come from nature that were synthesized before they were ever found in nature. I think one of the most beautiful examples of this was DMT. I know a person quite well who said DMT is basically good for you and it's safe for you because you have it in your system all the time. You actually have reasonably interesting levels of DMT in our brain as routine materials that comes from the body. And we have 5-methoxy-DMT in our brain stem as well. So yes, these are natural, but they were not known to be there until the material was first synthesized in approximately 1923 by Mansky in Canada. And he synthesized it in a very crude way, but he got the material, he published the material in the Canadian Journal of Canadian Chemistry, and it was some 22 years later that it was first found to be in a plant, an active plant in South America. So here's a case where the material is synthetic, but it is found in natural sources. I don't like the word natural separating the two because I work in a laboratory making new compounds, and I think I'm natural and they're natural. But then that's the definition of the term natural. So no, I think, and for that matter, some of the early substitutions for LSD back in the 1940s was found to be strychnine. The rumor had gotten out that strychnine was a contaminant of LSD. That's nonsense. Strychnine was being offered in place of LSD. It was being called LSD, and it was really strychnine. And strychnine's a natural material. It comes from plant sources. So I think you have to be a little bit forgiving if I don't say if it's from nature it's safe, and if it's from the laboratory it's hazardous.
Can you speculate on where the disconnect is in a person who has a hard time getting effects from tryptamines or phenethylamines? Would this more likely be a psychological or physiological problem? I would think psychological, but...
my feeling is psychological. The person, what's the graceful way of saying hard head? If you are beginning to get physical indications and you're apprehensive about going to higher dosages because of physical or toxic or mechanical changes in your body, not the mental ones, that means your body is getting a level that is getting its attention, and if you do not have a mental change that comes with it, or a psychedelic opening up that comes with it, it means probably that you're not either aware of, sensitive to, recognize these changes as they're occurring, namely you are a little bit hard to turn on. It is possible that you are in a position of seeing much of this all the time anyway, and there is not that much change that you are seeing. It's hard to tell because you don't know. If you don't get to a certain level, it may be that you are close to that level in your normal life, and you had no way of objectively determining that. So this is another explanation. My advice to the person would be if you feel toxicity, physical changes that are disturbing, don't go higher, because you are obviously, there's some toggle, some misconnection between your psychological state and your physical state that is not the usual ratio, but something slightly displaced. And I would be very cautious in trying to push the psychological by pushing the physical.
Yeah, an interesting example of that, I think, for those of you who've been in Barcelona, you lucky people, the Antonio Gaudi is the famous artist. And everybody gets directed to the Sagrada Familia Cathedral, which is a really magnificent thing. But the best place to see Gaudi's work is in Parc Güell, which is how many acres?
Oh, 200, maybe 300 acres.
Yeah, where he has gone totally mad with beautiful tile work and fantastic dragons and ironwork, just beautiful. And we found out, to our great surprise, because this is the most psychedelic place I've ever seen in my life, we found out from somebody who was a close friend of his family that he had never taken a psychedelic anything in his life. So he must be one of those people, I believe that Chagall was another one, who has the doors open. And psychedelics would do nothing. He's already there. So that's...
I was reading a comment about, written by a person who knew Chagall, something of the same openness. And apparently they would be sitting, drinking a glass of wine or talking in a restaurant, and Chagall would be continually drawing little paintings that are coming out of somewhere inside of him and tossing them in the garbage can. Just the wealth of materials thrown away because he could not stop it. It was coming up. All the time was there. And the only way he could maintain a rational conversation is to get it out of the way and paint and throw and paint and throw. Very strange. I think in a way Gaudi was in the same pattern because apparently when he died, he did not want any public funds for his unfinished cathedral. The church, the Catholic Church, offered to pay, and he refused the money. He said, this church is for poor people, and they will pay for it. And a penny here and a penny there was his philosophy. And he never completed it. He had no intention of completing it. And interestingly, when Gaudi did die, he died almost an unknown person in Barcelona. No one